Welcome back to 77 Weekly. We are here with Rob, Coach Rob, and we have a special guest, one of his programming clients, right?
Correct. Yep.
Russ C.
Right. That's right.
Russ, what's going on, man? How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks.
So you usually work out almost at this time. So you're getting ready to go to the gym?
This is my lift time.
So are we?
This isn't your
time. Yeah.
You don't lift until later anyway.
Yeah, this is like warm up. We're warming them up. Yeah. You got to loosen up a little bit.
It takes me 30, 45 minutes to warm up.
That's true.
So Russ has a pretty cool story about as far as how he kind of got, you worked out, but like what you're doing now, I guess, is a better cool story than, kind of what you started with. So started as a CrossFit typical gym, CrossFit gym group class member, and decided to switch over to Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting and all that kind of fun stuff. And you just did a meet. So we're going to kind of talk about this transition from regular CrossFit group class to Russ 2.0.
There you go.
So I guess first, before we get started, like, what do you do? What do you do during the normal day, not at the gym? Because that's what everyone already knows.
So I worked for about 35 years as a doctor of pharmacy.
Okay.
And it was great. Lots of great opportunities, lots of great leadership. I covered like the entire country at one point and worked for a pharma company, worked in medical, and retired after 35 years and living the life now. I get to lift and do projects and do a little day trading. So, yeah, it's fun.
That's why he works out at like whenever he wants to, because he doesn't do anything.
I want to be Russ.
But if somebody said, yeah, I worked for 35 years doing that, like it's about time that you got to do what you want.
Yeah, no, we have a pharmacy client that I work with, and I just got off the phone with him, and he's kind of, I just know some of the stuff that I'm sure you've had to deal with of big pharma regulations that you can and can't do, and
studies and what have you. And when I started CrossFit, I was still working full time and traveling, and still came every morning in the morning class. That was my way to get juiced up for the day. So.
Oh boy, morning class.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm at 7 a.m. now, so a little bit of the morning. I'm branching out. Man, it's the only time that I have no excuse to not show up. Like, at the end of the day, I can always find something to be like, oh, I've got to work late, I've got to eat, I've got to walk the dog. But in the morning, it's like, well, I woke up. Like, there's nothing piled on yet if you just go.
Yeah, you kind of have to make yourself go sometimes. But when you're done, I found that it really helped me with the rest of the day.
Yeah, I agree.
And manage the rest of the day.
I agree. So what got you originally over to CrossFit? What made you say, I'm going to try this crazy thing out?
My wife.
Crazy wife told me to go do the crazy thing.
No, I mean, I was working a lot. I used to play softball, and I've always been kind of competitive from a sports and academics and work standpoint, and it was a stressful job, and I'd gotten to where I wasn't really doing anything. So she suggested I go with her, and so we used to go to the morning classes. It was one of the things we were able to do together every day. So that's how I kind of got started.
When was that? Do you remember?
2011, 2012.
So you've been in it for a while. You're like,
yeah, we were at one of the old buildings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bench warmers.
Yeah, exactly. The small spot.
Oh yeah. I wasn't at the gym. I would visit, but yeah, I remember bench warmers.
Yeah, I'd met.
Did you? You didn't? No, you were after bench warmers.
I came to the gym literally probably less than a year after they moved.
Yeah, it was real soon
after we had moved. So I was. I'd seen pictures and everything like that, but I knew Crowder probably since like 2013.
Yeah.
Through just a bunch of other guys in regionals and stuff.
Crowder, PK, and Jaspin were the people that I knew.
That was, and then Mark was a member and switched over to helping out coaching. So yeah.
I actually didn't know Mark was a member first. Mm-hmm. OG Mark,
old man Mark,
old man strength.
Careful there.
Young Mark, right?
Yeah.
So how long did you do group class?
It was, I don't know, a year, maybe two.
So you didn't make it very long in group class before you switched.
It got to where I wanted to go a little longer and a little harder. And the competitive bug, I think, kind of bit me. In class competition, it's good, but it's sort of repetitive sometimes. And so I felt like, if I could do the programming, I could maybe have aspirations for the Open or something like that. And so I started programming with PK, And then he pushed me to try to do the Open RX in 2017 and 2018. And I got like top 10%.
Hey, that's better than I ever was.
And felt, good, but I'm not the biggest guy.
Yeah.
So, and I suck at double unders.
And you were the 50 to 54 bracket, right? During that time.
Yeah. 50 to 54. And like I said, I suck at double unders. And that, there's always that, and there's always something lifting heavy.
There was at least 2 to 3 times. This was long before he and I had worked together. I'd seen at least 2 to 3 good meltdowns due to double unders. And it always seemed to happen like outside on the back pad.
Oh.
And I'd either be out there or I'd be like just doing something to where I'd like see out the window and I'd see just like
ropes getting slung.
Like just kind of like stomping around. And it was one of those things where like you see it a lot. It's like, man, that's a movement that everybody struggles with. But it was just that one thing that he's like, I don't get it. Why I can't get this? Mm-hmm. So
I kind of had a mini meltdown at one point. So it was the workout where that was the snatches and burpees. First open workout, snatch and burpee, work your way up, heavy snatches.
Oh yeah.
I got 1 rep. The first time I did this thing, I got 1 rep at the heaviest snatch bar. It's like phenomenal score. Problem was the coach that was watching. So we didn't really have it structured the right way.
Yeah.
Which is, you're not supposed to do it. The coach that was watching wasn't there counting every single rep and wasn't a judge or something to that effect. Oh. So I couldn't count my score. I had to redo it. And I got it was way, way worse. And I had a mini meltdown at that point.
Redos are mentally painful.
Yep. Yeah. And I was like 40 reps less. It was a lot.
Ooh,
yeah, it was
a lot.
Mini meltdown as well. I can appreciate one. Good solid mini meltdown.
There you go.
He's like, yes, double unders. Do you have double unders now? Can you do them?
I can do
enough.
Maybe 5 or 6 at a string, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I don't even try anymore. My knees are, when you get older, your knees hurt. And so it's one of those things that just pounds. And another reason why, I went to Olympic lifting.
Yeah. So you transitioned over, you went into programming, and now you have taken a kind to Olympic lifting.
Yeah. So one of the, obviously, there were guys that were lifting heavier than me in my age group.
Right.
Because they weren't,
They were my size.
Yeah, exactly. Same age, but bigger guys lifting heavy. And so PK said, well, maybe you try the Rob's lifting class to help with your technique, maybe get a little stronger, and that might help some. And so I started doing that 3 times a week, and really liked it. I felt like I was feeling really good. I was feeling stronger, and my technique was better. And Rob kind of put the bug in my ear, like, hey, you got to think about maybe competing. So that was August of 2018, I guess. And
so for those that don't know about how weightlifting works from a strength body weight standpoint, how's it work, Rob? So you can quickly explain it.
Olympic weightlifting is probably the most black and white thing you will ever do from a competitive standpoint. Literally, you're in a age category, unless you're just a senior, meaning it's up to 30. So after 30, then you get put in age brackets, and it's just like CrossFit, 5-year age brackets. And then it's your weight class. So you compete against other people that are in the same age bracket as well as in the same weight class. So the great thing is it's in my eyes, is a pretty level playing ground. It is literally how much stronger or mechanically sound you are than somebody else. Versus CrossFit, you can be in the same age bracket, but there's a guy who is Ryan Weber size versus a guy who is Russell C size. And be very, very...
Depending on the workout, like it could be a pro or con.
Like the snatch and burpee workout where it ends with 210 or 205. Like you can't expect a guy who weighs...
I'm doing 80% of my body weight, and you'd be doing...
200%.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So in a typical open year, I could be 25th in the country in one week, and the next week I could be 250th.
Yeah.
Because of the...
Just depending on how they programmed it. Yep.
Absolutely.
So weightlifting, it's just 3 and 3.
Yeah.
You have 3 attempts to beat the other guys in your weight class on snatch, 3 attempts on clean and jerk, and then total. So the cool thing is you have opportunity for 3 medals versus just, like the open. It is such a, and same thing with the Masters and the open. It's such a small, like they used to allow 10 or 20? It was, I think it was top 10 in the world.
Yeah.
Whereas Olympic weightlifting, there's so many different levels as well. You have the local level, then you have states, national, then you have your Pan Am teams as well as some other stuff, world, and then obviously for regular or senior competitors, the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very, you work your way up as you progress and do better. You have levels that you can win at, regional and all that kind of stuff. And there's more of them. And then I don't, but I do like the weight class thing. It definitely levels the playing field.
I think the other thing I like is that you have your own stage.
Yeah.
So like in the open, you're in a room with a bunch of people doing the movements. Here, you're the guy on the stage with the lift.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it gives you that extra chance to compete.
And you do or you don't. They're like it's one of those things of like the open and even just CrossFit in general. There are so many variances with judging and repetitions, and you either beat the guy next to you or behind you, or the next lift, or you don't.
And also, it's very easy to see, did I hit it or did I not?
Exactly. Yeah. And you have 3 judges that are literally going to tell you yes or no.
Yeah.
So when we had talked about it, I remember when he had gotten to that and he was like, well, the biggest question that we have is like, can I be competitive? Like, is this something, if I switch over to it, can I be competitive? Because one of the biggest things that we saw with CrossFit was it was almost like you can be competitive in certain things, but not in other things. And it's like always like, well, yeah, I'll be good at that, but I'm not going to be good at everything. Whereas weightlifting, we looked at the great thing about USAW is you can look up previous year's results and we could actually see what guys in his weight class and age class.
The moves don't change.
And
this is it.
Yeah.
So we looked at it and we were like, you can get a qualifying total to be at nationals.
Yep.
And I think it was one of those things where Russ had just kind of was like, really? And then we just started working towards it. And you went to
States in 2018.
Went to States in 2018, which was in Charlotte. It was at Stax.
Yeah.
And then qualified for nationals.
Yeah.
First year.
My score that day was a qualifier for nationals. So I was like,
so in
nice.
Awesome.
in less than a year, we got farther from a qualification standpoint than 5 years or 6 years of CrossFit. So I think
I had the same experience. I did Olympic weightlifting and I was real close. It was like 3 kilos, 5 kilos away from qualifying for the American Open.
Yeah.
And like in CrossFit, I had no chance.
Exactly.
Like, no chance at all. But in weightlifting, because that's what I was good at because of my size, hey, I was very close. If I would have trained it, I would have got there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's different for sure. So what if you, since you've kind of transitioned over into lifting, what is your, what do you do for cardio? I'm sure that's what people ask you all the time. What do you do for cardio now?
Yeah, so Rob writes my programming, and usually every day there's something in there at the end of the day. So there's mostly lifting movements up front, A, B, and C. And then there's usually something after that that includes either biking or rowing or skiing or pushing the sled, that type of thing. So almost every day, I go 4 days a week. I have a Thursday rest day. And usually Friday is a little more cardio, it seems like, than some of the others. And some of it's painful.
Yeah.
Just back to the CrossFit kind of.
So you probably do more of a when you're programming for them, it's more of kind of this long, slow zone 1. Like I want your heart rate elevated for a longer period of time, but it's not going to beat your body up because your main focus is the lifting.
Yeah. So the primary we've tried different methods with volume and percentages and like peaking, and the big thing that we found out was like we have to drill a lot of technique with Russ. So we do more versus a Jacob who's 22 years old. I can punch him through a lot of volume and like push him through a lot of heavy sessions where we really have to like pick and choose when he's going to peak. But with the aerobic side of it, it is more generic to get his heart rate moving, but it's more like for health than anything else. It's not like a 10-minute AMRAP of wall balls and dumbbell snatches and something. It's like 4 sets of 1 minute on the bike, 10 ball slams, and it's just to get him a little bit of literally breathing to keep his heart going.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I'm still pretty new, right? So mentally trying to think quickness, right? So a lot of my drills are around trying to improve my quickness. Mm-hmm. And then, I'm 59. Yeah. So my knees hurt. So we have to try to preserve that. Yeah, so you walk that line of how much do you do to get stronger versus how much do you have to back off in order to preserve your knees so that when you get to the meet, you can hit your heaviest lift.
Right. How do you feel differently between CrossFit versus Olympic lifting?
upper body wise, I feel like I feel stronger with this, and
Which
it's
there's no upper body in Olympic lifting. It's all legs and hips for the most part.
You'd be surprised. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of stabilization, but it's not like you're pressing. There's no pressing.
There's a lot of presses in my workouts,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, that's probably where that comes from.
Right.
But,
Yeah. So one of the biggest, like we do a lot of isometric holds. So like handstand holds for him, because one of the biggest issues that we've had is like lockout in the jerk.
And hold, yeah.
Exactly. So we do a lot of like single arm pressing and stuff like that, where it is, when you see most Olympic weightlifters, they are really big from the waist down.
Right.
A lot of Olympic weightlifters you will see and you're like, man, that guy, like, he clean and jerks like 175 kilos. And you look at him and he's not a dense guy up top, but his legs are built just super thick. And same thing, really big, thick trunk.
Yep.
So the big thing with Russ is we do a lot of the overhead stuff simply just to get his overhead position, like you said, more stable, but also to get him in the habit of locking out better.
Yeah.
So instead of having like lazy elbows.
No, I get it. That was my biggest problem too. The lockout. Just lazy elbows.
You
That's
can
it.
pull and squat a house. And then
Just
because
can't
I remember
hold it overhead.
yeah, when you were like, yeah, I'll clean like 340 or 350 right now, but I'll only jerk like 285.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
Why? Well, I can't hold it. It's just weak, unstable shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a different world for sure. It's training completely changes, the style of workouts completely change, but definitely a very solid type of program that you can do for many, many years. Because especially with Olympic lifting, that it's so technical, you're never done. You can always make some sort of improvement.
Yeah, even if it's just on your consistency, right? And how you hit certain spots.
Yeah. What's your what do you have coming up? What's your goals? What are we trying to do?
So it's funny because Rob and I just kind of been talking about that. COVID really threw a wet blanket on everything, because I had actually kept improving, and then everything shuts down. And even though I was still working out at home doing programming and lifting, it's just not the same. And so I lost probably 10 to 15%. And we're just now getting back to about 95%. So one of the goals is to keep improving, getting back where I was, maybe doing a little better than that. Obviously I qualified for nationals, so I want to do that mid-March. And then, I think it's August, Pan Am Games is out there, and I've already got enough qualifying total to do that. I'd like to get a little higher, maybe at nationals, and maybe try to do Pan Am Games. And then we kind of have Worlds out there as one of those stretch goals, but I'm going to have to get back to where I was,
and then
my
improve
heaviest lifts, in order to hit the totals for that.
Right.
So.
Which a funny fact, that's not funny. It's just I think it's an interesting fact, is that if we take him to Pan Ams, he will be the only international competitor at the gym ever in history, yet he is one of the older people at the gym. So I think it's funny to tell people, because when they see that he competes, a lot of times, a lot of people look at themselves and they're like, wow, like I can't believe he's doing that, at the age that he's at, or is that good for him? And then it's always the like, oh, I don't know if he should be lifting that heavy, or I don't know if his body can handle it. But it's cool to see that a lot of our, older members at the gym are some of the most competitive people.
Yeah, you're starting to see a lot of our seasoned veterans of members start.
We've got like 4 women
competing.
that are actively competing in powerlifting.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest things with Russ is if we were to use somebody, and that was one of the other big reasons why I wanted to have him come on the podcast, was a lot of times, and because of the time he comes in and trains, is a lot of times people don't really see him.
Yeah.
But like for having gone to nationals, you qualified for nationals, this is the third time he's qualified for nationals. This will be the second time he's at nationals, and then potentially to go to Pan Ams. Like in the weightlifting world, that's pretty big. Like,
Yep.
That's massively big to be on a Pan Am team. So
Right.
I think
This is my
cool.
second age group. So I was 55 to 60 last time, and I'll be competing at 60 to 65 this time.
You're the young buck. You better take advantage of it.
Exactly. That's exactly what we were trying to shoot for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Russ, we appreciate you coming on. Learned a lot. If you guys have questions about Olympic lifting, ask Coach Rob, any of the other coaches. If you want to come check out Russ Lifting, it's typically around 3-ish p.m. So come on over, check him out, cheer him on. We'd love to have it.
Rob's a great coach, so seek him out.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next episode.
Thanks, guys.